Hi, David from PDI. This video is about Wiro binding and Wiro binding for the training manual. Wiro binding is the most common form of binding for the training industry. Why? Because a Wiro bind has one particular feature, which is it lies flat and it opens up flat, which is particularly useful during training courses. Other forms of binding, like the paperback book, or to give it its printing terms, a perfect bound book, you can see doesn't lie flat. It's always open unless you crack it to break the spine. And a saddle stitch book, that's one that's stapled in the middle, again, doesn't always quite lie flat. So the two most common forms of binding in the training industry is the Wiro bind. Sometimes, and I'll cover this in a different, you can use the ring binder, which of course does lie flat, slightly more expensive, or can be. Come back to that. So what do I mean by a wire bind? That's a wire bind. And I call that a wire bind as opposed to that one, which we tend to term as a spiral. I don't know whether you can see the difference, but that is a continuous wire rather than the loops of a wire bind. Very common in the US. But you have to be a bit careful with this. I don't know whether you can see the last one there has just been hooked over. If you don't get that hooking over quite right, then they tend to come undone. And I don't mean this. This is a common form of binding used in offices, which we tend to refer to as a cone bind. It's plastic, and it's very cheap, it breaks, and yeah, it's just very cheap. It's not particularly professional. Fine, this is an internal document used rather than a commercial product, so it's fine for that. So the wire, how is it done? Best explained by seeing two things. One is, that's what a wire looks like. They come in all different sizes. By size, the size of the loop. You don't need to worry about that. When we know the number of pages, we'll decide the size of wire which is most appropriate to ensure that it sits comfortably and doesn't jam when you try to open it. But the best way to explain how it works is if I take what I've just done there, I've just opened the inside back cover, and if I open the inside back cover, don't know whether you can see how the wire, which looks like that, has been closed around a punched block of paper. That one's white. They can be black or silver. The choice is yours. Generally, we tend to go with, obviously it's a black cover, so you went with a black binding, and it's a white cover, so a white binding, but whatever's most appropriate so that it either forms a nice contrast or it matches the cover. What else can we say about Wiro binding? Wiro binding, generally, we print a cover, nice cover on card. And to protect that cover, you don't have to, but you can also place within the binding. This one's an acetate, which is frosted. They don't have to be frosted. Have I got one? Yes, I have. You can also do it with an acetate, which is glossy, and that has the effect of making the whole cover quite glossy. Can put one on the front and back. If I was going glossy, I generally would just leave card on the back, but it's up to you. The frosted ones I tend to put on front and back. Again, up to you. Some people like the protection of the cover. Others, because it's plastic, try to shy away from it. You don't have to have plastic. There is a range of eco-friendly ones, which are made from a cellulose. So you can get those, but they're quite expensive. Other aspect of Wiro is the ability to do this. I don't know whether you can see that, and that's to add tab sets. So you can bind within the document a sheet of paper which has been specifically designed to act as a tab set to allow you to work your way through what is a hefty piece of training manual. And the tab set can be printed. I don't know whether you can see on there, the tab is actually printed in that direction. And it doesn't have to be just on the tab itself. We can actually print on here, either in colour or black and white. So there you have it, the options for Wiro binding. Any questions? Hope you found that useful, but if you've got any questions, pdi.co.uk. Thank you.